Welcome to Showing Up Solo with Hannah and Nicole, your guides to navigating online marketing for your business. Hello, everyone. I just want to welcome our friend Erin Anderson, your brand networker. She is a LinkedIn strategist. So, Erin, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, great. So I know, Hannah and I have both done your LinkedIn training and we've, explored your brain of all the incredible LinkedIn benefits, but we thought it would be a really good idea to have you share why LinkedIn is such a great platform for people to use with their business.
Yeah, of course. So I would think that the first thing that's at the forefront here is that you want to make sure that you're on multiple places. So it's not just Facebook or Instagram, or even those people that have excelled on TikTok. I know I'm thinking of one person in particular that's actually also gained a huge following on LinkedIn. And so it's also where else can you show that you are present, right? So whether that's your website or TikTok or these new platforms, how are you able to connect them so that you're getting the same followers in each place? And that really goes back to if something were to happen in your account or deactivate or whatever that may be, or you lose followers in one place, where are they also going to continue to see you? So I think a lot of people think of it as two different audiences versus, yes, that's two different audiences, but there's also a part that it's both of your audiences, right? So making sure that if they're seeing you on Instagram, they're seeing it on LinkedIn, they're seeing it on TikTok. And it really goes back to the theory of sometimes it takes us 3 to 7 times to remember something. So if we're seeing it on different platforms and then we're seeing it on LinkedIn, we're now more convinced, and we're going with that like, know, and trust factor, right? We're seeing you on multiple platforms, we're getting to know you, and then we are likely to buy from you. So I think that's one of the main points. Second to that is within the last year and a half, LinkedIn has made a lot of initiatives to grow with business owners, right? As we entered this virtual networking world, LinkedIn took advantage of that very quickly. And so since about, I would say April 2020, maybe we're moving into June, LinkedIn has found a way to actually serve more business owners than they are career professionals at this point from the way their features work. And so the longer that we go into the pandemic at this point, the more features that they are bringing on to serve, it's not just to serve business owners, but more business owners are likely to use those features than career professionals.
I'm gonna I go back to the first thing you said, because I love what you said about the two audiences, and people can think that. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had where people are like, well, my Instagram audience are this kind of person and my LinkedIn audience is this kind of person. And I need different content for both of those. I know what I say in those situations, but I would love to hear your opinion on that situation.
Good. So the first thing, kind of like going back to what I said, right? These people might be in both places, but also LinkedIn does tend to be a little bit more of a higher ticket, higher income, right? So if we look at the average income of Instagram versus LinkedIn, second to that, it tends to be a little bit of an older audience. And so depending on who you are looking to serve, there's a lot of new entrepreneurs in the Instagram space that are very young. I mean, who knows if they're even going to continue their career in that direction, where LinkedIn is more fairly established. And so even though they're in both places, where are they really getting active? And then also looking at, okay, well, you have two different audiences. How are you going to serve them with content? And so it really goes into repurposing. And so it's not creating fresh, brand new content, although sometimes it may be for polls or things along those lines. But what can we repurpose? I mean, the whole thing at the end of the day is social media takes a lot of time. We all know that. But how can we take something, I mean, maybe even something we posted on Instagram 10 months ago, and now repurpose it to work for LinkedIn because maybe it's relevant, A, with the times, B, with something that's trending on LinkedIn right now, or see something your community hasn't seen on there, right? I did this the other day. I had talked about something about 10 months ago. I made a post on LinkedIn, and some people from my Instagram community definitely engaged with it. And then I also gained a lot of new people that probably didn't know my story or how to work with me. And that was a great feature for LinkedIn.
Excellent.
Yeah, thanks for answering that because it's definitely one of those conversations like Hannah just mentioned that it's like people are uneasy to move to LinkedIn, and a lot has to do with them just not completely understanding what the platform is about and what it has to offer. So it's nice for you to kind of share that information so people understand a little bit more of why they should include LinkedIn in their marketing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of features, new features are there? Because I know prior to marketing my own business, I had used LinkedIn to find jobs. Like I knew that you could put your resume on there and you could use LinkedIn to find jobs. That was the extent. Never posted on LinkedIn before that. Obviously, since then, I've had training with you and know a lot more. But I'd love for you to just let our audience know what the possibilities are with this platform.
Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing at this point is creator mode that was added. And again, it's not that the average career professional can't use it. There's a lot of recruiters taking advantage of it, which has made their job easier because the more present they are on the LinkedIn, the more people come to them, and because they have gained such a huge following, they're barely recruiting anymore because people are coming to them and it makes their job easier. But looking at it from the business owner perspective with creator mode, there's a few different things. The first thing is that you're able to add hashtags that are relevant to content that you want to create, which a lot of people will say, well, what's the point of that? I can add hashtags to my posts. How is that going to help me? And at the end of the day, there's two options on LinkedIn. You can connect and you can follow. A lot of people just connect, but a lot of people follow you specifically for your content. That is the point of the follow button. If somebody sends me a request, I'm happy to, most of the time accept that connection. But what is it that they're actually talking about? Do I want to follow them? Because I also don't want to clog my feed with people that I'm not really interested in listening to their content, or maybe I differ in opinion from them. So with the follow button, we're looking at these hashtags that are right underneath your headline and your name. And we're thinking, okay, well, what is it that they're talking about? If we're interested in that, then we're going to follow them. So that's one of the first points there. Second is newsletters. And so this is a fairly recent feature. And the benefit of it is if you have an email marketing system, I want you to think of it in the same way. But on LinkedIn, you're actually likely going to have a higher reach for two reasons. Number one, there is now an option to invite people to subscribe. But the benefit of it is once you have a large group of subscribers, instead of people having to log on LinkedIn. So we want to think of the people that maybe aren't logging into LinkedIn daily or weekly. When they get when your newsletter goes out, they get a notification, A, on LinkedIn that it's out, but B, it actually goes straight to your inbox. So this is a huge benefit of people that aren't logging in. So I want you to think of just as if you were to send an email out through your email marketing platform, this is also going out in the same way, and it's being displayed like a regular email. So instead of receiving an email that says we now have to click on it to see your newsletter, we're seeing it directly in your inbox. So I think that's a huge advantage for reach. If we're thinking about the way the algorithm works, if we have 4,000 followers, we're not reaching all 4,000. So how can we reach those people we absolutely want to target and that are also interested in us because they subscribed? Third being LinkedIn Live, you no longer have to apply for. So you're able to just go ahead and create videos when you would like. You can schedule these. There are events in advance. And then fourth, being the newest feature as of about a couple weeks ago, is LinkedIn Audio. And so with this new feature, I want you to think of it as the equivalent of Clubhouse, but in my opinion, better. And it's basically a room that you can create on LinkedIn, and you're able to, there's a lot of topics that you're able to obviously talk about. You can invite people. It is a type of event, and not everyone has been given access to it yet, which is LinkedIn tradition. So typically what will happen is, just as you were to create a regular event, there will now be a LinkedIn audio option when you are given access. So that's a good way to know if you are given it, and you can invite people to these rooms. But again, it keeps a list of the people that were also attending your room, and they're going to be notified when you are hosting events again. So if those people seem like people that are likely interested in your content, they will get a notification about future rooms.
I have to say, I am so not surprised that LinkedIn has come up with its own version of Clubhouse, because I remember early 2021 when, I know Clubhouse was around before then, but it really started, like, more people had access to it early 2021. And there were so many LinkedIn people on there. Like,
Yes.
everybody was talking about LinkedIn, and I saw all these big names in LinkedIn marketing talking on Clubhouse. So it does not surprise me in the least that LinkedIn has come up.
Been something in the works for a while, and I think they were really, stories came out in September of 2020, and they were gone by September of 2021. So figuring out what is actually working. I think stories that, you could only see them on the mobile app. Well, that's something that people can access, versus now they've worked with, or they've changed the process that with audio, you can access it on both platforms. Because I think with LinkedIn, I'm obviously both. I live in New York City. So for me, when I'm on Subway, I open LinkedIn, and that's how I'm able to stay connected, versus I think the average LinkedIn user whose role is not in marketing is probably mostly either on the platform or on the website, or they're on the app. And so I think LinkedIn has realized that, especially in a virtual setting, now that more people are at home, how can we serve both audiences?
Yeah, you know what I love about LinkedIn is that they're taking all these like things from other platforms that they like, but making it better to work for them.
Yes.
Because like you see other platforms that have like specific kind of offers, but LinkedIn tweaks it to make it better for their users, which I appreciate that, because it feels like there's more thought put into it.
Yeah, and I like how it's more, obviously Clubhouse was event based, but I didn't find it extremely easy to navigate like it is as a LinkedIn event. And I like how easy it is to also see who else is going to be in the room. And they're still working out kinks, right? It's just like the anything of, I was in a LinkedIn audio room the other day, and there were some issues with it, but that's anything in the beginning, just like we went through with Clubhouse. But I think that's what LinkedIn was missing, because I think versus Clubhouse, I think you have a larger demographic of experts, right? So on Clubhouse, I think a lot of people were getting on that weren't professionals, which is fine just to talk. But I had been in rooms where it kind of wasn't going anywhere, where I think there's a strong focus on LinkedIn. If I'm going to host this room because it's considered an event and it's advertised, no one's going to, get on there and talk about nothing. There's going to be an actual topic, because there is a focus. This is what we're going to focus on, because these people are expecting us to present that. And also because it's tied with your profile. A Clubhouse profile could never compare with a LinkedIn profile. And we're able to follow the person on LinkedIn. And the more we engage with anything, so if we're engaging a lot with an audio room of one specific person or our audience, that's also going to promote our content more to those people. So the LinkedIn audio will be working along with the algorithm as well.
I'm glad you touched on the LinkedIn profile, because I don't think there is a single other social media platform out there that gives you the breadth of room, like of talking space that you get with a LinkedIn profile. It's basically a website. Like you have room for testimonials and for links to portfolios, and it's all SEO searchable. So it's like, I think even if you don't think your audience is on LinkedIn, you should have bare minimum an optimized LinkedIn profile, because the real estate there that you have for sharing your message is just incredibly generous. Most platforms, like Instagram, you get like 2 sentences to say what you do. It's the same thing with like most other platforms, Pinterest, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. You have such little space to talk about what you do. And LinkedIn, you not only get like your profile, but you also get a business page. Like business pages are free. So like you have all this room to really showcase that you're an authority on a subject. And I think
it's funny, because Hannah and I were just talking with a client last week, and we were talking about LinkedIn. And one of my favorite things about it is that you can have people leave a review for their work with you. You don't have to essentially ask a service provider for feedback from their previous clients. You can just go to their profile and see it for yourself, which that's pretty cool. Like, I love
this is one of the things that I focus on a lot. When I onboard clients now, that's one of the advantages. Or if they're sticking on for continuing to the next year, I usually have that an incentive is to do it for them. I a couple of things here, and I love what you touched on it. Number one, I love the word showcase. I mean, I don't think there's a better word, right? That's kind of like our, I know we all say we have an online presence, but I feel like based on Google searches, like that's the first thing that's going to get pulled up. And I want you to also think whatever our Instagram name is, it's not usually our name for our business, right? Or there's something in conjunction with our name. And so when we search our name on Google, it's one of the first things that's going to pull up along with Facebook, right? And if people are looking at you for a business, they're likely going to click on LinkedIn than they are your Facebook page. But two things with that, what you said, the first being is credibility. I mean, if someone is looking to know what your background is and why you got to where you are and more about that. And I think about this from a hiring perspective because I do hiring management for clients. And the reason that it works so well on LinkedIn and why people are getting candidates that stay. For instance, people used to come to me and they're saying, I'm hiring people off Indeed or Instagram, and they're staying with me for 2 months and they're leaving. Well, two reasons. Usually that's because we didn't even know anything about them. We saw an Instagram bio and we did an interview. We don't really know if everything's true that they're saying. On LinkedIn, we're getting just a lot more credibility to know who you are, what's your background, and why are you qualified to be this person. I think that's huge. And then from a recommendation standpoint, so wherever else your presence is, whether I would say most people, it's probably a website. Besides a video testimonial, anybody can get on a website and say, X said this in quotation marks. I'm not saying that most people do that, but people could leave 100, right? I mean, you could forge Google reviews. There's a lot of things you can do. The power of a LinkedIn testimonial is that somebody felt strongly enough positively about your work that it is attached to their profile, which means they had to leave it. There is no way that, a company got on and did it, or somebody else left that. They have to go on and leave it. It's attached to their profile. Their name is up there. So now you are associated with them. Somebody that didn't feel that you did the best job would never leave a recommendation, because that also invites the potential customer to reach out to those people to say, what was your experience like? I want to hear more. And the final thing I'll say on that is I don't think there's a better place to send potential clients. And that's something during my onboarding process now where I say, or after a sales call, please go ahead and look at or before a sales call, please go ahead and look at my LinkedIn client testimonials sections. I have almost 70 recommendations on there. That's a great place to find out what it is that I do. Another thing I just say with that is find a client that's similar to you. What is it that you were looking for? What was accomplished? And then they have this entire bank to reference. And I promise you that when they see all those testimonials with somebody's name, it's very rare that they don't hire you for a service.
Yeah, those are really good tips. I didn't even think of using your LinkedIn testimonials as like a recommendation for a potential call or potential lead. So, yeah, thanks. That's a really great point.
I often steal my recommendations that people give me on LinkedIn, and I'll put those in my testimonials on my website, because you can trace it back. Then you can say like, look, it's right here with their name linked. And I think, that's a huge part of LinkedIn.
Yes. And the more testimonials you have, it also increases how far up you show up in a search. So LinkedIn is going to take you as a trusted expert, right? So the more that you have, the more it's going to help with your presence when you're found in searches, all of that.
So for people who are just starting out, maybe they're not super familiar with LinkedIn as a platform, but we've convinced them now that they should be on there. What is your advice or say like the essential steps that you recommend they take getting started on LinkedIn?
Okay. So there's a lot to be on LinkedIn, a lot to do on LinkedIn, a lot to have. I would say, it can be intimidating, especially if you're doing it by yourself. And so the first couple of things that I would focus on is your banner and your picture and just looking engaging. When you say this about getting on LinkedIn, the first thing that comes to mind is somebody probably is transferring from a corporate position or a full-time position, and their profile is like what I like to call stale. And so we've only used it as an online resume in the past. And so moving forward, I think the first step is bringing awareness through your personal brand. So what is it that how do you want to appear? And I just am thinking of so many profile pictures that are they're from corporate. People are in a blazer. That doesn't make you look approachable as a business owner, right? I mean, it makes you look professional, but who do you actually want to hop on a Zoom call with? Somebody who's friendly and excited for your project, or kind of straight and narrow and corporate-y, right? We're not, if someone's looking to hire you, they didn't go to a corporation, they went to a small business. And so you want to make sure you're approachable. And so I would say changing your branding, and that doesn't mean you always have to go out and get professional photos done. That's great if you can. But if not, thinking about, what colors are you wearing? How are you looking? Are you approachable? The second thing is, when you're in a profile picture, really making sure that you are looking directly onto the camera. And this is something I'm seeing more and more on LinkedIn, where especially women they tend to kind of like lean sideways or lean on a couch or different things. And it makes us look a little bit less assertive or confident and powerful. So if you're able to, you could have different props or different backgrounds, but making sure that you are looking fairly straight on so that people feel confident in moving forward. Second, being a banner, you have to have a call to action here. If people landed on your profile, you got to have them scroll. And in order to do that, you have to tell them what to do, right? So if they've landed here, maybe it's follow you, maybe it's listen to my podcast, maybe it's book a call, and whatever that is likely going to change. So when you're in seasons of launches, or you have a new podcast like you guys, or you have a new book, this is with authors, or you are in a season of only looking to recruit for speaking engagements, whatever that looks like, those can be interchangeable. You might have a base banner, and then you have different ones that you switch out depending on the season your business is in. Second, being your headline, making sure that you are thinking how your client thinks. So I would suggest journaling this before you actually begin, and thinking, if I was my client, what words would I type into Google or LinkedIn to find what I do? A lot of people struggle with this, right? It's like when people say to describe and talk about yourself, sometimes we're like, oh, okay, it's funny. Most people always can't think of their top 3 skills right away. They have to think about it. And so I would actually go to your clients and ask how they found you. What wording was used, whether on Instagram, LinkedIn, Google, whatever it was. Make sure you're plugging those keywords in and adding a title. So not marketing, but marketing expert, making it apply to you, not just a general area. A few general things I would say is really crafting your story. Tell us how you got to where you are. We're not making this a resume, right? We want to craft a story. Tell us what it is about you. What are your passions? What are you doing outside of work? How can people connect with you, right? Maybe if you are, you run a business, but you're a mom, or whatever it is that you can relate to the client, right? So maybe somebody can relate to that you have kids and you run a business, and that attracts them. So making sure that you're telling your story. Second to that is really getting active on the platform, making sure that you're getting seen, creating content. And the last thing I'll say about that is making it personal and posting on your personal page. You can still post on your business, but you're going to get more traction on a personal page by making your content personable, right? So I've had clients in the past that tell me, I want to get on LinkedIn and just sell, sell, sell. And those people are never going to see results. Those are clients that I stopped working with because, frankly, not only do they not know how LinkedIn works, they're not willing to learn or accept how it works. And I think that's really crucial, is that if you're going to spend time here, that you're in it for the long game, because it does take time, as we all know. And B, that you feel that you're willing to open up to your audience, because that is how people are really going to connect to you.
Wow, I think our audience really got a wealth of information from you that will have their brains really thinking about how they can get into LinkedIn and optimize their profile. So thank you for sharing all of that.
And Erin, if somebody wanted to have your magic touch on their LinkedIn, or how could they reach out to you or work with you?
Yeah, I would say the best way is through LinkedIn or Instagram. I'd say those are the best 2 ways. And so I would tell you to go on Instagram or LinkedIn, and both of those are Your Brand Networker, or my name is Erin Anderson. And we actually had this conversation before the podcast started, but my last name is SEN at the end. So if you're searching, make sure to plug that in and send me a message. I'd be happy to give you some tips and just get you started on LinkedIn. I do private one-on-one and also training for groups, so I would be happy to help.
Can't say enough good things about Erin's training program for LinkedIn.
Yeah, I
Transformed
agree.
my business. It really did. Being able to offer those services, but also being able to market myself effectively. I have so many leads coming in through LinkedIn, just by being active on the platform.
Yeah.
Well, just having the information to understand what LinkedIn is and how to use it and what it has to offer, which you wouldn't usually get just by going onto the website. So we are also very lucky that Erin will be giving a expert training in our monthly membership. So that'll be something exciting for our members to look forward to.
Yeah, if this has piqued your interest and you want a little bit more Erin, then you should really make sure you're a Showing Up Solo member so that you can get some exclusive access to her expertise, because she really is an authority on this subject.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Erin.
Yes.
And I everybody go away and optimize those LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And yes, if this has given you, kind of an interest or a peak of interest, a boost in confidence, just get started, start exploring it. Maybe replay this podcast while you're getting on there, take some notes. We all started at day one, right, with converting our profiles from corporate to LinkedIn. To your small business. So just getting on there, starting and making daily goals. And maybe it's one post a week or a month in the beginning, but just get your feet wet and you will see results.
So thank you so much, Erin. And until next time, everybody, have a good time.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Erin.
Enjoyed this episode? Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future ones. Want more from Hannah and Nicole? Visit showingupsolo.com to join the Showing Up Solo membership or to inquire about working with us on your business.